Hi, this is Reiko, and I want to introduce you, Dr. Robert Eldridge, and he is involved in many different research between Japan and Americans, Army and politics. Okay, so can I call you Robert or Dr.
Yes.
Eldridge?
Yeah, either one's fine.
Okay, then Doctor. First topic is about Mr. Trump, who became a president of America today, and why Americans choose Mr. Trump, and what will happen, what will come after today, from today, which means how the administration of Mr. Trump changes America.
Well, those are all questions I would like the answers to as well. But starting with the first question, why did my compatriots, why did my fellow voters choose Mr. Trump? You could suggest it's a choice for Mr. Trump. You could also say it's essentially a denial of the alternate candidate, or the main alternate candidate, Mrs. Clinton. There's a fairly large number of people who abstained from the elections, who didn't vote. I know among people in the Democratic Party, they were extremely disappointed and saddened by the primary elections that took place in the first half of the year, because many people felt that Mrs. Clinton and the Democratic Party establishment stole the elections or the primaries from Mr. Sanders, who was another candidate in the Democratic Party primaries. And they saw her as essentially cheating in that process. And if she had to cheat when she was strong in her own party, what sort of methods would she use in the main election? Other people saw her as a continuation of the status quo. And I think the biggest thing that was driving people when they were voting is, do they want change? And so Mr. Trump promised significant change in many, many ways. So those that voted for Trump were either strongly supportive of his message, or they were so frustrated with the status quo that they were willing to gamble, because they knew what would happen with a Clinton administration. So they knew the outcome already of something like that. With Trump, things could get better, or they could get worse, but it's going to be different. So
maybe then America wanted to some change, and then they wanted to challenge or gamble in your word, in your word. But some people has different point of view, I think. For example, some people who support Trump are kind of light, I shouldn't say that, but light-sided people in America, and they are actually, they liked the message from Trump that America is for Americans, or America should care about America's own interest.
Right, so America first.
Yes, America first, and also he wants to build a wall between America and Mexico, and then most strong message from Trump to American people. Maybe same, same things. Some people who support Sanders, but it's like let's get back America from Washington, and So it seems like Mr. Trump knows that who is real enemy in America, and then he actually wanted to get back America from real enemy of America in America. What do you think about this kind of opinion?
Well, almost every election cycle, one of the candidates will portray himself or herself as an outsider.
That's right.
So, in that sense, it's not any different from other elections in that sense. But somebody as strong-minded and as vocal, and someone who is not afraid of the consequences of his words and his actions, that part's very unique. So when he talks about Washington, so for example in his inauguration speech earlier today, he specifically said that to essentially take the power from Washington and give it back to the people. So Washington is not only a place, but a symbol of the of government, but also a symbol of power and authority and corruption, and the lack of good governance on behalf of the American people. He's promised a lot. Whether he can deliver is something we need to watch very carefully. I don't think he has very much to show in the way of experience in governance or government, or accomplishments in this field, this new field, as a statesman, a politician.
Because he is very new, that's what you mean, right?
Right. So
I think
I think a lot of his promises, if they're not fulfilled, will further the erosion of confidence in American institutions that many Americans already have. So perhaps we'll talk about it later, but the greatest enemy is the non-participation by citizens in their own democracy.
Okay, thank you very much. So, but anyway, even if Mr. Trump is very new to the, for American politics and how to deal in Washington and so on, but still he became president of America, and then he has specific mind and then policy he wants to do. And what do you think, doctor, that what kind of change or what kind of thing will happen after Mr. Trump's administration in America?
That's something I would like to know too, but unlike his predecessors and other politicians, they tend to work within the system. I think Mr. Trump is going to create his own new system. And so in other words, he's not going to work within existing frameworks, existing paradigms, existing mindsets. So he in that sense, he's truly an outsider. And so whether you look at his foreign policy or some of his statements on social issues or legal issues domestically, or his some of his business practices, extremely out of the ordinary. So I think he'll bring a different...
He don't carry on the basic history and administration in Washington, but he will do totally new things and new administration. That's what you mean?
I think he will certainly try to do that. I don't think he believes in status quo or existing frameworks. So that's in a sense, it's a wild card because we don't know what he's going to do, what he's going to say. But it's very interesting. One example with his interaction with with the president of Taiwan, for example. That was extremely exciting in my in my view. So.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So next take we want to talk about why some those under right in Japan support Mr. Trump strongly. Okay. So keep watching.